Hey Instagram, we are back again with another amazing interview for the Influence and Conversion series. We are chatting with an amazing guest today. Her name is Jessica, and Jessica is a business coach, and we're going to be talking about something so important that I feel like people really need to key in on this message, and that's resetting. As a country, as a person, recalibrate, reset, honestly, as many times as you need to, because so many people are just like, oh, well, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. You need to make time to reset in order to be able to spring forward. So I'm going to go ahead and add Jessica in here. We're going to get this conversation. Type in the chat where you guys are tuning in from, and we're going to get rolling here. Let me go ahead and add her in. Okay, perfect. All right. Hey, Jessica, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. So how's life from the Airstream?
Life is going really well. It's funny. I got up this morning. I taught a class, and then we are actually on our way to do this like incredible 6 mile hike that's been on our bucket list. And I I said, as soon as we got to a place where there was like enough service, I said, pull over, go like take the kids inside of Walmart or something, and just like look around. And so I can do this Instagram live. So it's really cool. So I'm going to talk with you, and then we're going to head on back and go hike. So
Oh
it's
my
really
gosh.
great.
You guys, so she lives out of an Airstream with two kids and your husband, right?
Three kids,
Three
which,
kids? How big is
yes,
your Airstream?
it's 214 square feet. So we lived in a 3,000 square foot home. We lived, I mean, always we were in a home, and we had a great life. And I don't know, there was just something that I was missing, adventure and freedom. And, I don't know, I'd always lived in a house with a backyard and a garage, and everything my whole life. And it wasn't that I necessarily didn't want that anymore. I just knew that I wanted something different. I
Mhm.
wanted freedom and adventure. And that looks really, a lot of people think I'm absolutely crazy, but it's okay. I mean, we are having the most incredible time. We get up every day, every week we're somewhere new. And so it's just wonderful. We're having the best time.
I love that. That is so, talk about you got to plan a little extra, but you have that freedom. And then the whole topic of today about like resetting as a country, as a person. I mean, you literally get a reset into a new city probably.
Yeah.
I don't know about every night, but definitely weekly, being able to shift and move around and give your family the experience of just living life and seeing what other, cultures and cities and things are like. So the most respect to you, especially with three kids.
Thank
Oh
you.
my gosh, I love it. But let's talk about the resetting factor because I feel like this is so
Yeah.
good. And I know you as a business coach, you probably get a lot of people that you're like, all right, we just need to recalibrate, reset here. Let's first talk about resetting as a country. I mean, we kind of been put through the ringer.
Yeah.
2020, first half of 2021, it's still, we're slowly getting there, but it's still slowly. It's at like a snail's pace.
Right. Yeah, it really is. We're getting there eventually. Yeah, I really believe in resetting, and this is something that before the pandemic I did every year. I have a program that I call the game plan, and the reason why I wrote it into a program was because I did this year after year, and I saw that it actually worked. Meaning, I'm a bit of a multi hyphenate, and maybe you and maybe some of your viewers can relate to this. And I grew up believing what society told me, which was, oh, you have to choose this one thing, you
Hmm.
have to study this one thing, and then you just kind of work your way up this ladder to do that one thing, and then you retire, and that's how you live. And something about that with me never really completely rang true. I was in a car accident when I was little, and my sister died, and I survived. And I think growing up knowing that tomorrow isn't promised, like people say that all the time, but I really know that to my core. And I think living every day knowing that, it allows you to have a little bit more like, we get one life, and I don't really want to work for anyone else. I want to be in control of my time. I want to be able to go to my kids' soccer games and recitals and go to their school, parties, and not have to ask permission from someone else to do these things.
Right.
And so I just knew that I would need to own my own business. I didn't really care what that was. I just wanted to own my own business. But I realized after I bought a business, that as I continued to grow, because as I tell my kids, we're never done growing up, ever. We, like, mommy and daddy are going to make mistakes. That's how we learn, and that's how we continue to grow and evolve. And as I grow and evolve, my interests change. My core values don't change, but what I'm interested in, or whatever I'm curious about, I allow myself the space to explore those things. And through that, it has led my career journey, on a bit of a fun path. And so every year I sit down and I reset. And I've done this, like I said, long before the pandemic. But it showed how important it was even during the pandemic, because kind of midway through the pandemic, I had to kind of do it again and go, okay, like, this is happening for me, not to me. So how do I reframe this delay is serving me in some way. Let me take ownership in that. And I think a lot of people at the beginning were physically tired, and so the rest was good. But I really believe that our souls are tired, and I think we're at a point now where we need nature, where we need to get connected again with what we truly love, not what everyone's telling us we should love. And so I definitely think that after the pandemic, people are thinking a little bit more, how do I want to spend my life?
Yeah.
I mean, how we spend our days is ultimately how we spend our life. So how are you spending your days? Are you having fun? Like, I know for me right now, that was a big thing, is I was like, I don't want to spend every day just like taking my kid to school, coming back home and working, picking them up, taking them to gymnastics, coming up. Like, I've done that. And I did that my childhood. Like, I want something new. And that doesn't mean we can't go back to that. It doesn't mean that there won't be a time where that makes sense to go back to. But right now, my soul needs more. My soul needs a reset, which is why we sold our house and we sold our cars and we sold, almost everything. We kept some land, and we kept one storage unit filled with some, like, designer vintage furniture, and that's about it.
Wow.
Everything else we got rid of.
I love that. That is so cool. It's like, and there's so many more people that I've met that are doing the Airstream thing and living life and just going and have those experiences. And I remember honestly talking to my husband, we don't have kids yet. And I'm like, what would you think about getting in an RV and, like, just going for months? Unfortunately, he's a video editor, so, like, he needs a lot of bandwidth. And I'm like, dang, so maybe not. But we could, who knows? We're not going to shut the door.
I don't know. I produce a new video every week that comes out.
He takes a lot of bandwidth just for the projects he has. But the point is that, like, that taste of freedom, it's like, why not pick up and go? Why not, like you said, I don't want to do the same routine over and over again and have no fun experiences in my life. And so I just love that you're doing it. A lot of people talk about it, but you're doing it, you're living it, and you have 3 kids and you're doing it with kids, which I think is just incredible, because you're literally changing their perspective on life. Instead of having them wait till they get to a certain age, as they're growing, they're seeing, like, this is a way to live, this is an option. A lot of people just won't even consider that being an option. So I love that you do that. It's just so refreshing. And so I don't know if you have anything to say on that, because the other part I want to go to is completely different, a little bit more business direct. But anything else you'd like to say on that?
I would just like to say one thing about parenting. I think that a lot of times parents think, like, oh, I have to show my kids this very structural way to do things. And I really believe that our kids learn from us by example. And I think, we have to be able to show them, listen, you can change your career if you want to. Like, if you're miserable in what you're doing, you can change it. Or if you don't like where you live, you can change it. Or there's so many different ways to live. Some people take the subway, some people have a car, some people take the bus, some people walk, some people ride a bike. Like, there's so many different ways of living. And I want them to see that and not feel like this is all you know. So therefore, that's what's comfortable to you. So that's where you're going to stay. I don't want that for them. And I want to show them that taking risk can pay off,
Well, then you're also giving them a framework of doing something completely different where not very many people have done or will do. And you're like, look, it works. I can work when I want, on the road, enjoy life. And and they're seeing that option as well, because they're going to get the other one. The other one's going to show its face, sit at a desk or do this or whatever, like that. we all know what that looks like, but they're getting to see how it works on the other end, which I think is so powerful. So I just love that. But I want to transition here because I know with you being a business coach, you're very intentional. You're intentional with everything that you do. And you have a course, it's called Know Your Numbers. And I love this because a lot of people don't know their numbers and they want to avoid it, sweep it under the rug, and let's not talk about it, which helps absolutely nobody. So I'd love for you to dive into that.
Yeah, so Know Your Numbers is really, it's a program where I absolutely love this program, and what it really is, and to be honest, I've called it Know Your Numbers for 3 or 4 years, and actually on Monday, I should have told you this before, but I just wasn't thinking about it. I had a meeting with my team, and I said I really believe that we need to change the name of it to the game plan, because numbers sounds advanced. It sounds like, oh, you're really in business, you're in it, so now you need to know your numbers, which know your numbers is important. But what the game plan is, which is previously known as Know Your Numbers, is it really is the game plan. Like you don't go on a 6 mile hike, which we're about to go on, without a map that tells you exactly where you're going.
Right.
If right now I've got in the GPS the location of where we're going, and what's beautiful about that is I can put in the coordinates or wherever that we're going, and then I can sit back. I can turn on the music. I can open up a Topo Chico. I can enjoy the ride. I'm not stressed looking around going, where's the sign? What's my next exit? And all of that, right? Which I think a lot of people, that's what they are doing in life, is they're constantly like kind of on edge going, where am I supposed to go next? And do I do this or do I do that? And whatever. But if you have a map, if you have a blueprint, if you have a GPS, if you have a game plan, you get to sit back and go, let me just enjoy this experience. And that's what the game plan does every single year. So I do it every single year, and it asks me the questions, and it's a video form, just sometimes I have to separate that it's me, but it's me. And I'm asking questions that people don't typically get asked. Like genuinely, how do you want to spend your day? Let's pretend that there is more money in your bank account than you know what to do with, and there's no one depending on you for anything. How would you spend your day? Like, how would you wake up in the morning? What time would you wake up? What time would you go to bed? Would you go out to lunch with a friend 3 times a week? What would you do? And then, and most people, what they do is they start out with their work, and they try to make their work fit into their life, and then they live their life miserably because it doesn't work. It doesn't line up. And what I do is I ask you the questions that allow you to really look and go, whoa, wait a minute. I thought that this is what I wanted to do because that's the journey I started. But after answering these questions, I see that actually that doesn't line up whatsoever with the life that I want to have. And so then I start asking the questions that allows them to go, this makes more sense. Like I had a student who was a full-time floral designer, and that was her intention. Like when we were doing this class together, the game plan, she was like, yeah, that's what I do. And I want to know my numbers for that. Like show me how I do my salary and how I do my thing for that. But because I asked her the right question, she realized, I actually want to be a writer. 2 weeks after she finished my program, the game plan, 2 weeks later, she got a job as a copywriter, and she now supports her family of 4 with that job. Now, the thing about it, where so many people are living in this point of frustration, it's because they're not doing what they're actually supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And that point of frustration, you are not attracting the good energy, and money is just energy. That's all it is. So if you are actually aligned with your purpose, with what you're supposed to be doing, because someone has actually asked you the questions that lead you to those answers, then you're excited, then you're ready to go to work, then you are attracting all the good energy, then you're attracting the money. And this happens time and time again with the students. So once we kind of figure out the life you actually want to live, then we're able to go, okay, well, here's the work that coincides with that. Now let me show you how you actually make money doing that, make real money in your bank account. And now let me show you how you can actually live your dreams, whatever those dreams are, because it is possible. And it's okay to want money. Money is how we live,
Yes.
We have to have it. And I think a lot of people have this this perception that we shouldn't talk about money, or we shouldn't want for money. We should just be happy with what we have. No, you
Yeah,
shouldn't.
that is so
You,
good. I love that.
you
And
should want.
isn't it so fun and so rewarding when somebody takes the time being like, okay, I'm gonna invest and figure out what I need to do here. And then they like, I love the recorrection of the path. They're like, oh, I thought I wanted this, but I really want this. And how freeing is that? Like, we've all been in jobs. You're like, oh, I thought I was gonna be a news anchor my whole life. I thought I was gonna be in the news my whole life. That's what I did for 5 years. And then I'm like, oh, absolutely not. But I transferred a lot of those skills into what I do now.
Yeah.
However, I make way more money now, way more impact, so much more positivity. And because I took that leap into entrepreneurship and trusted somebody's advice just one time, I was open, changed the trajectory. And I
Yeah.
love your story because you literally changed that woman's life because she was open and you're like, hey, and you have the tools to help them create that game plan, the right game plan, because you're right. There's nothing worse than being trapped into something or feel like you're trapped because you could always leave. You can always leave.
Right.
But you're
Right.
like, do I really got to do this for the rest of my life? But when you find that thing and the light switch turns on, and
Right.
just like what you're doing right now, you're living your life on the go, loving it with your family, working when you want. You're going to go on a 6-mile hike right after this. You know what I mean? Like you're doing it. And so, oh my gosh, I love this, Jessica. This is just so great. And so as we close up today, just so many gems have been dropped. I could just go on and on, but is there anything else you'd like to say? And also, what's the best place for somebody to get in touch with you?
Well, you can go to jessicazimmerman.com. I think in wrapping up, I just want to say that I do think that a lot of people think once they've invested so many years, like it's almost irresponsible to stop.
Yes.
Or they've spent money going to college about something and everything. And I just want to say that time is not wasted. Just because you decide to pivot or change. I wrote a best-selling book called Sleeping with a Stranger. And what that story is so much about is it's about my husband and me and our relationship. And but he was a financial advisor for over a decade, and he stayed in it for so long because he thought it would be irresponsible to stop. And we get to see what actually ended up happening to him because of that decision, and it wasn't good. But I will say, like, it is always serving you. What you know now, you get to take with you. That doesn't mean that those skills weren't, that you're not going to get to use them and be equipped with them in the next thing that you do. So everything that you do is always just preparing you for the next thing. It's not wasted. So I just wanted to say that. But yes, you can go to jessicazimmerman.com. You can get my book, Sleeping with a Stranger, on Barnes & Noble, Amazon. You can go to my website and get it. I have a podcast that I do every week called Zimmerman Podcast, but all that is there on jessicazimmerman.com. And you can get the game plan, previously known as Know Your Numbers, there as well.
I love it. Jessica, thank you so much. I hope you have the best time. It looks like a beautiful day wherever you're at. So have an amazing hike with your family. And thank you so much for jumping on. For everybody who's jumping on, that jumped on live or watching the recording, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next time, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Molly. Bye.